Okay, good afternoon, guys, and yeah, excited to have this session. Jasmeet was just telling me that don't you get bored of doing so many sessions? So I'm gonna mix this up a little bit and make it a little bit fun. We're talking about a very interesting topic today. We're talking about customer experience. Look, I think D2C as a space has evolved significantly over the last 5 to 7 years. When I started in October of 2017, we had just one Android phone where we got all the customer calls and no science behind the customer experience. I think with time, over the last 7 years, with the sort of onset of so many amazing enablers and the customer getting more and more picky as well and demanding much more, customer delight and customer experience has become the core of what we do, and it differentiates good brands from great brands. It creates memorable experiences and eventually leads to high levels of retention and LTV, which is the sort of endeavor and goal. We have a large, amazing, diverse panel, and so I'm going to try to pick all their brains and eventually get you some exciting insights on how we should look at CX, and then I promise to open the floor at the end for about 5 to 10 minutes of questions. So I'm going to ask the first sort of theme, not question, but the first theme to my friend Jasmeet, who has not met me for the last 6, 7 months, so he owes me a dinner. Look, I think your business has both the B2B and B2C angle, right? But the endeavor for D2C is retention. So talk to us about what you've learned from your journey to get to that you have worked through with your customers on retention. How does it work on the B2B side, B2C side, and some nice examples of unique things that you've tried on the retention front.
Hello? Cool. I think this is okay. Hi guys. So yeah, very interesting. In fact, I do a dhanda where we get abused probably every day. Right? So what we do at Kootloot is we help small offline retail shops in the non-grocery space sell online as well as source from factories. Right? And these are not like your Lee Levi's kind of brands, but these are brands like Jack Taylor that are made at the other station, but do like about 50 crore rupees of sales in a quarter. Right, so very interestingly, working with a category that is very Bharat, so we are very Hindi belt focused. Right, so in terms of B2B and B2C, I'll actually break it in two parts. So the B2B piece of it is very transactional driven. Right, so the customers expect quality in terms of the shopkeepers, they expect the right price, they expect some discounting from you, and essentially it's a business of scale. Right, so in the B2B business, timely delivery and quality is something that, cannot beat it. The C side of the business is where all of us are spoiled, right? And that's where customer experience becomes the most interesting piece. So on our platform, unlike Meesho or Flipkart or Amazon, where you have a customer care executive or you are probably in the journey as a consumer, you add to cart, you check out and you order. We've actually tried to bring the whole offline piece online. So on our platform, what a customer does is he comes online, he looks at these shops or these products, and he starts chatting directly with the seller. One of the most interesting things we've done is, in India and also around the world, when two people speak same language, there's automatically more trust. Right, so whatever the customer types, let's just say I speak Punjabi, Arjun speaks Marathi. Whatever I type in Punjabi goes to Arjun in Marathi. Whatever Arjun types in Marathi comes to me in Punjabi, and that's essentially how we solve the communication problem. Secondly, we have a haggling system or a bargaining system. So we are the only platform in India where you can actually bargain online with a shopkeeper, because the seller side is not a typical e-commerce seller. So we probably have more than like 12 lakh shops on the platform. And so it's a very fragmented kind of a business, right? And because we work with tier 2, tier 3, what we've done is we've made WhatsApp as a single, platform for pain points as well as for transactions. So any information related to transaction, shipping, complaints, it's all WhatsApp driven. We've also created bots, but what we've also done is we've added customer care that speak different languages. So for example, we have guys that also speak Bhojpuri. Because there's a seller from UP who basically speaks Hindi but is more comfortable in Bhojpuri, or probably a customer from Gujarat is more fluent in Gujarati. So what that does is it actually helps you solve the problem much better because the trust factor is created. And I believe in India, the biggest challenge in all e-commerce, D2C, everywhere is the trust piece. right? And that's what we are all solving for. Otherwise, we have 800 million internet users. Why aren't 500 million shopping online? It's not that they cannot afford it. Affordability is not a problem, right? The challenge is trust. मैं देख के लूँगा. मैं दुकानदार से बात करके लूँगा. Essentially, that's the mindset of the consumer, because a 500 rupee is a big amount for a small town, small shopper in India. So essentially, what we've tried to do is bring the whole offline piece online. I believe personally, it takes generations to change customer behavior. So just do what's already happening and just replicate it. It's what we've tried to do, and that's how we've scaled so far. Essentially, we have 25 million downloads in small town India. Probably people in Bombay Delhi don't even know about us. And I think that's amazing because we're true to what we do. And I think India is a very, very interesting place to be. And building in depth is the game in India. Be local, be as transparent, as honest. And of course, it's a learning game. So, as the consumers evolve, we are also trying to evolve as platforms and as technology. So I think that's what we've tried to do. We've not tried to reinvent the wheel, but just roll the wheel faster. So that's what we've tried to do.
Yeah, really interesting insight from Jasmeet as well, right? The insight, or what I took away from that was that customer behavior doesn't change, but can you enable the same behavior at scale using technology? I know we've discussed this multiple times. 82% of our customers at Dr. Vaidya's were outside the top 10 cities. And so even in our customer service team, and we'll pick this up with Addy in a little bit, we had people who spoke 16 different languages because contextualization is very important. I wanted to move to my good friend Gaurav Zatakia here. So I moved to a new house in July of last year, and Gaurav Zatakia is the famous founder behind Flow mattresses. So we asked him for a mattress, obviously know him for years, but he didn't offer any discount. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but there was no discount, but I sleep on that no discount Flow mattress every day. But Gaurav, I wanted to ask you a question on just sort of taking forward the conversation that I had with Jasmeet. See, retention is very important. All of us investors talk about LTV, lifetime value, all of this, right? But at the end of the day, I bought this mattress, and for 5, 7, 10 years, I probably won't buy another mattress as long as your quality meets up to what you promise. So then what happens, right? What does a brand with a high AOV that has a product where maybe you can make money on the first order do to engage the customer once he or she has bought that mattress?
So I think you've nailed it. In high AOV categories like ours, where we're offering a 10-year warranty with the product, the customer's not coming back for a very, very long time. And so I think the only thing that guys like us can do is one of two things. One is just to echo some of the thoughts that Jasmeet shared, set the right expectations early on, and then deliver on those expectations. Try and build as much trust with the customer by speaking languages that the customer speaks, because that definitely helps. And then following on, after the transaction is complete, and we make it a point to call all our customers post-delivery, a couple of weeks into use, to see if they're genuinely happy with their experience with Flow Mattress, right? And I think that makes them feel as if we actually care about them beyond just the transaction that happened. And so that helps bring a portion of customers back to our website for, when they need a new mattress, let's say for a guest bedroom or another bedroom in the home. It also helps drive word of mouth and referrals of friends and family. Lots of people buy mattresses now for their grandparents or their parents that have back issues, or someone that they know in their social circles. But beyond that, I think the only other way that we are able to kind of monetize those customers is by cross-selling smaller items that you buy more frequently. So things like pillows, bed sheets, anything that the customer is likely to be willing to bet on you for, because you've delivered such a good experience with the mattress originally.
And I think that I wanted to sort of talk to another founder who's operating in a reasonably high AOV category as well. So Aditya is a good friend and the founder of Assembly, which is in the luggage space. Again, sort of similar use case where you don't buy luggage every single day. But the other thing I've seen, and if I talk about myself as a customer as well, if I'm making a purchase of 3, 4, 5, 10,000 rupees online, it's already I'm feeling like, oh my God, I'm spending so much money online, etc., all of that. Even though I'm a digitally native consumer, I buy everything online. So my expectation of customer service is much higher than if I buy, let's say, for example, my shower gel on Amazon, right? So I wanted to discuss with you, Addy, on two aspects. One, does customer service or the way the team is structured or the expectation of the team change as the products are higher AOV? That's number one. And number two, obviously there are times when you fail, right? And there are times when you're not able to deliver the experience, the customer's bag breaks or the wheels break or all of those kind of things. To everyone here, what's the right way or your way to deal with an angry customer?
Yeah. So you're right. I mean, our category is very similar to Gaurav's. So two parts to your question. Just repeat the first part again. That in a high AOV category,
Is the
is
expectation for customer service higher, and do you do something differently from, let's say, what a doctor where there's at 700 rupee AOV would have done?
Yeah, no, so, I mean, there is some truth to it that, in a high AOV category, the sensitivity on customer experience, on returns, on no question return, having a policy which, extends, it can't just be maybe a 2-week return because, there could be people who buy it and then use the luggage maybe 3-4 weeks down the line. So there would be an expectation that there are luggage brands in the US that probably have a 100-day return policy. So the, I mean, the expectation on return is definitely to be very flexible. You can't have, somebody who is coming to you and you don't solve, to solve for it. So yes. The second part of your question is in terms of for an aggrieved customer, how would one handle it? I think very similar to, I think that would be category agnostic. I think, when you're dealing with customers directly and you have communication coming to you about, something not working, you have to be ready to bend your rules. So if, something is taking, if, for example, if somebody has a flight to catch and, we're not able to use surface transport in a, which takes 7 days for it to reach, we'll have to like stomach the cost of sending it by air and making sure that particular time sensitivity attached to that delivery is met. So that's how one would look at it.
And if you guys haven't tried it, I'm a big fan of assembly luggage, so give assembly luggage a try. I wanted to move to a different type of conversation. Already we've talked about online, digital, etc., all of that. And as we were walking in, Abhinav, who's with Good Dot, told me that we are actually a totally different business where a bulk of our work is in the offline space, right? And I think there's lots of chatter about this term omni-channel, right? Everyone's talking about omni-channel, etc., all of that. Now, the offline space is definitely much larger, but it has sort of differences in terms of engagement with customers, right? So bulk of your customers come offline, but there is some things you can do to engage with this customer using a digital experience, and there are some learnings actually that offline businesses have taken from the digitally native businesses, right? So I wanted to ask Abhinav, as a brand that has a large offline presence, how do we engage with customers using digital? How do we track customers? Because there are layers between brand or manufacturer and end customer, which is superstockist, distributor, retail, etc., all of that. So how would you as a brand leverage the power of digital to actually be closer to this customer, even though the sale may happen at the offline location?
So I'm with a brand called Good Dot, which is a plant-based meat company. Now that category as a whole is very, very nascent in India. The awareness about the category is very minimal. So there's a lot of customer education that happens, which is why our initial attempts, to be honest, in the online space were not very successful, right? Because people would be like, all right, acha, plant-based meat. If you're a vegetarian, they think, it is something for a non-vegetarian. And if you're a vegetarian, non-vegetarian, you'd say, acha, plant-based meat, I'm fine with my chicken or mutton. It's meant for a vegetarian audience, right? So we had to shift our focus and try to get more directly in touch with customers and create customer experience points in the physical world. That's how we got into the more physical retail through QSR stores, through experience centers, and so on. But you're exactly correct, and we cannot leave the digital sort of segment aside. So it's what we actually do is through our QSRs, where we do get data about our customers, we have, a typical touch points around, WhatsApp communication. And in our category, it's also about educating the customer. So we have a lot of information around, the category as well as the brand. Through, we've got our own kitchen channels on YouTube. We have tie-ups with influencers who sort of, again, talk about the category as a whole, about the product and its utility in day-to-day kitchens across the country. And so we take the YouTube customer approach and connect with the customer through YouTube very, very seriously. Accordingly, of course, Instagram is something that's, very, very important to us in terms of reaching the younger audience. YouTube is slightly, through YouTube we try to cater to the moms and our kitchen channels, and through the Instagram we have the data that we get from our QSRs. We try to connect them through WhatsApp and Instagram. And I think both have to go hand in hand till the time that the category becomes a broad enough category where we can sort of shoot the bullet all over and spray everyone. We try to take a more focused approach to reduce our cost of acquisition and customer information.
So thanks, Abhinav, for talking to us about an important topic that all of us need to think about omni-channel engagement as well, right? It's not just about sales. It's also about engaging with customer across channel and being with the customer at the channel that they are consuming from. I wanted to move to Ananya now, and obviously Ananya has an amazing brand called Misfit in the fashion space. Now there's lots of talk about personalization in fashion. There's also a lot of sort of complication of management of fit, right? And in fashion and footwear, we face the sort of highest RTO rate in the D2C space, right? So I wanted to ask you basically three things. One, how do you sort of think about returns and still keeping the customer happy and engaged in the experience? That's number one. Two, is personalization possible and relevant at scale in the fashion space? Because that would be a great customer experience. And three, a topic I really enjoy sort of thinking about is customer delight, right? So giving that customer that something special or extra that makes them want to stay loyal or stay engaged with your brand. So if you could talk to us about this from your lens of being in the fashion space.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Arjun. So we currently have a denim line and an activewear line. And in terms of returns, I think especially with denim, because we started off online, so the fit issue, a lot of people are not sure what kind of denim would fit them, and because all the different brands have different sizes as well. So returns was something that we were extremely worried about, but the first 1.5, 2 years that we started working on Misfit, our main aim was to get the fit right. All our R&D, our entire development was done for the Indian bodies. That's something that I think our USP was as well, because most of the other brands that we were referencing and that were our aspirational brands while creating Misfit, the quality that we were looking to match, all of these brands, their R&D was done on Caucasian bodies. And a lot of these international brands were coming into the Indian market, but their garments were not really made for the Indian market. So we spent a lot of time developing a lot of samples, going through several rounds of samples, and I think we kind of perfected the fit in that way. So our returns, luckily in the past 1.5 years, for both activewear and denim has been pretty minimal. So right now we are also available offline in our in a store-in-store format. Even there we have not experienced any returns yet, which is pretty shocking because it was something that we were expecting, and with activewear, the fabric that we are using is extremely stretchy. We have about 5 sizes, XS to XL. And what we've noticed is there's a big range of women that fit into just, one size. So maybe someone like me to someone that's 2 sizes bigger could fit into the same size with our activewear because of how stretchy it was and how comfortable it was. So for returns, luckily till now, we have not really had that big of an issue with it. We are just starting our marketplace presence as well this year. So hopefully we'll have a better idea, but Yeah, sorry, can you repeat the second and third question as
Yeah,
well,
so
please? Yeah,
the second question was on personalization.
yeah,
And the third
yeah.
part of the question was customer delight. What do you
Yeah.
do to make the customers feel like special, that they keep coming back and
Yeah.
becoming sort of ambassadors for your brand?
Yeah. So I think because we also started off as a D2C brand, we had a lot of control over how we were able to narrate the brand story and what kind of a TOV we could use and how our entire process was the end-to-end customer experience. We were able to control that. So even our website, it is extremely user-friendly. The entire checkout process is very safe and very friendly, user-friendly. So the packaging, the products, the entire customer experience was something that we had kept on the forefront while developing the brand. We have luckily gotten a great response. We've done a lot of collaborative events as well. So we try to create like a community of women that are interested in, fitness or similar categories like that, and we try to have these events and collaborate with similar brands or similar influencers as well to build a positive customer experience. So that's something that has helped us with retention as well. Even what I was telling you about the entire process that we did, the entire R&D that we did for the sizing, that has also helped us with customer retention, because even jeans, I think, once you find a brand that really fits you, you would keep going back to the same brand and getting the same pair. So these are some of the things that have helped us.
Actually, having almost no returns in fashion is best in class. I've seen
Yeah.
very few brands, and so I think the learning from there that we can apply across our businesses as well is contextualization, right? While most of the brands in the fashion space have focused on what was traditionally done, which was Caucasian bodies, I think a very interesting insight from Ananya was, if you really spend the time and the effort to do the R&D to get the product catering exactly to your specific customer, and it takes time. Doesn't happen
Yeah,
on
yeah.
day one. It can actually lead to
Definitely,
great
our
results.
entire first lot of production was all rejected pieces because it was not what we were looking for. There were a lot of things that went wrong. So we did delay our launch by approximately a year. We lost a lot of money in that year as well.
A year you
But
delayed the
yeah,
launch,
we
huh?
had
So you have to get it perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So we were really certain about the fact that the product has to be perfect, and especially with fashion, because I studied fashion design, so I understand the construction of it as well. So I think the fit is really important in the quality of it.
Awesome, and I actually wanted to now dive into a different part of the conversation that we've not spent as much time on, which is customer education. And I wanted to pick that up with Abhinav as well. So look, the coffee revolution is here in India, right? It's well and truly here. I think 2-3 years ago, people would question whether, hey, is this thing really here to stay? Will Indians understand espresso and cappuccino and latte? But the reality is it's here, right? But as you scale the business, you are going to engage with customers in your business of selling machines who have never had a coffee machine at their home or their workplace, right? And they may not know as much about the brewing process or the making process or the way to make their own cups, etc., all of that. Now, in this business where you are probably selling machines to first-time users, talk to us about your experience of educating these customers who may not even be able to touch and feel the product before they buy, and that journey from sort of engaging, educating, convincing, purchasing, and then eventually post-purchase service as well. How do you go about that journey and think about it?
So how many people here know what happens when coffee is brewed? So you have water, you put coffee in it, and then it mixes. There's something which stays or doesn't stay in the cup. It mixes, or coffee is not water soluble. Most of us have grown up with instant coffee which just dissolves in milk or water. So, when we were conducting our first few brewing sessions, people were so surprised that there's a residue after and of course, not for people who are from South India, of course, all respect, filter coffee, but for a lot of people who have grown up with tea and for whom instant coffee was the only form of coffee, that's where the education starts from. That coffee leaves a residue, it is the same as tea, you brew it, it's a different way of brewing it. So Arjun, what we do is that we conduct a lot of online workshops. We also do sessions inside offices, corporates, wherever given an opportunity, and we show the entire array of possible brewing solutions for coffee. We start with instant coffee. We show how filter coffee is brewed, brew bags the same way, say, a Sleepy Owl has. And then we come to espresso and we explain people the difference between each form of coffee, make people have coffee. It's a very enjoyable, interesting experience. First experience for most people, and that's how they also start developing, a nuance and understanding what makes and what coffee do they like. So, education starts by first showing people where they are, and then showing them what are the other possibilities in coffee brewing. It starts with that. We, of course, now have one retail store in Bangalore, and almost every weekend we conduct coffee workshops. A lot of people come down, attend. We taste different forms of coffee. We brew different methods of coffee. There are more than 20 ways to brew coffee. It is not only espresso or only filter coffee. There are many other interesting ways coming from Switzerland, coming from Japan. Each have their own culture in which they've brewed coffee. The way the Germans brew filter coffee is very different from the way Indians brew coffee. So it's a world in itself, and as more and more people are getting into the rabbit hole, it's becoming very interesting. We get very interesting questions, and education starts from there.
So, I think the first question that you asked was testament to the fact that there is still a lot of education left, but I think it's a exciting and sort of booming space, and something which we will see really grow over the next 5 years. I just wanted to move to Prateek now. And obviously, Unicommerce is something that everybody sitting in this room would know about. And Prateek, over the last 5-7 years, from having no enablers, no warehouse management, order management systems, no systems that allow Tally to talk to Amazon, no way for reconciliation, you guys have been leading the charge in sort of building this OS, if you may, for e-commerce brands, right? It's been a journey, and obviously as the space evolves, you guys have had to evolve as well. But I wanted to ask you, as you see so many brands on a day-to-day basis and their various problems and their experiences and sort of the product evolves with time, where do you see the evolutions on the OS side, the operating system side, the ease of experience for all of these founders sitting here, and where is Unicommerce going to go with these things? What can become easier, or what still needs to be solved, and what's already been solved?
Sure. Thanks, Arjun. So when we specifically see how the evolution has happened, so I'll just dial the clock some years back. When e-commerce had started out, e-commerce was a very nascent thing. People were starting with probably 10 feet by 10 feet kind of shops or small areas where they just had orders coming in from the websites or from Flipkart or Amazon. What they just needed to do was just pick the product. They knew where the product was because it was a 10 by 10. As time went by, that 10 by 10 became 100 by 100. And now when we talk about, we're talking about warehouses which are at least 1 lakh square feet, where you have 24-hour operations going on. Now the next thing that has come across where a lot of founders find challenges is how do you get the warehouse to be efficient? Now, what will end up happening is that the warehouses size will increase, the number of warehouses will increase. But one thing will never change, that you have to dispatch the product by 12 p.m. If it is 10 products, if it is 1,000 products, or if it is 20,000 products. That is where the most important things tends to be. How do you support a brand to ensure that there are 0 SLA breaches? How do you help a brand to ensure the order to dispatch time is reduced? So for example, we've had great case studies that when brands came in on Unicommerce, before coming on Unicommerce, their order to dispatch time, which was close to around 35 to 40 hours, because the warehouse was not very organized. Now that has gone down to around 14 to 15 hours. That is assuming the entire night is also there. So the quicker the dispatch time, the happier the customer is, The happier the customer is, the quicker the delivery, and quicker the delivery, the lesser the RTOs are. So one thing that becomes very important for all brands is how do you get that wow experience to the customers, which I think a lot of us are used in terms of how Amazon Prime has also built that kind of a reputation that you can get the product next day or the day after that. How do you get that kind of an experience? How does technology enable you to get over there? SLA breaches, unfulfillable orders, or order dispatch. These are the things that founders will definitely be looking at. Now, the entire background goes into how do you enable this to happen? How do you ensure the stock is kept at the right position? How do you ensure the pick lists are done properly? How do you ensure the quality check are properly done? Because in the end, it is the customer that matters, right? If the customer experience, the customer speed is sorted out, everything else is there. Because customers is what builds the brand. It's the only way to build a brand. That customers vouch for you guys, and it's not just the product, it's about the entire fulfillment, the entire post-purchase experience.
Yeah, as customers, we just sort of expect it. But there's a lot of background work that goes into it, from order management, warehousing, delivery, fulfillment, packaging, and I think Prateek has sort of talked to us about that. We've had great insights from all the panelists on retention, contextualization, engaging with customers, customer delight, the experience of educating customers, and eventually the back end that goes into it. But actually, basically, all of us are customers as well, right? While we are founders selling products and we are entrepreneurs selling products and we're in selling mode, we are also consumers at all points of time. And I'm a consumer of a lot of the brands who are on this panel and also at this summit. So I wanted to ask you now, take your hat off as selling and think about buying. This is for anyone in the panel and whoever wants to pick it up. Your favorite experience in the recent past buying from a brand and what they did that made it such a delightful experience. Not Flow Mattress giving me my...
I think for me, I think one recent experience was, I think an order from Swiggy that didn't get delivered, and all I had to do was on chat say the order wasn't delivered, and they gave me the option of either placing a fresh order or refunding the money. And I thought that the ability for a brand to be able to empower the junior most agent on the team to make a decision like that based on data, I thought was phenomenal. There's no doubt that these guys are massively funded and have the money to take risks like this. But I think eventually, if all of us can get to a point where even the junior most cogs in all of our wheels are empowered to make decisions like this to delight customers, I think.
And it's not it is obviously an organization that has systems and processes for a long period of time that's been able to do this. But at the end of the day, in that moment of sort of sheer anger, angst, hunger, if you're able to get this experience, it makes you not switch to Zomato for the next 50, 100 orders that you make. And that's a lot of orders, right?
And you asked the question to Aditya earlier about how you handle angry customers. And we've had our fair share of problems in early days, supply chain wise, and delays in delivery, etc. And I think every single unhappy customer that I've interacted with personally, I think has now become a brand ambassador. I think the reason is that most consumers don't expect to be able to connect with the CEO of the company when they have a problem about one pillow or one mattress or one transaction. And so when you surprise them by going out of your way to share your mobile number or your email address or even just chatting with them on LinkedIn, and resolving their problems, I think it just creates a deep sense of loyalty towards the brand and wanting to support the brand because you're honest in your approach.
Yeah, I completely resonate and agree. I would do at least 30 to 40 customer escalations myself on a monthly basis. The ones that we totally messed up. And I think the first thing I would do is say, hey, I'm sorry, I actually have been through your case and I know my brand has messed up, but how can we make this better? And that personalization of owning up is amazing. Like I remember I launched a podcast with Chaitanya, the founder of WakeFit, and I put a LinkedIn post about that podcast, and an angry customer has replied saying, "Sir, don't care about your podcast. This is my order number. Please let me know when my order is going to reach, etc. All of that. And I saw the way he responded. He actually responded to the customer, gave his email address and said, I am looking into this and I will call you personally to manage this. And you know, the founder of Purple, Manish Taneja, he always told me, however big you get and however big we get at Purple, I speak to 50 customers or 100 customers on a monthly basis. I don't want to lose touch with the customer, and I think that's really important. So I'm going to sort of check if any of you guys have some of these beautiful customer experience stories that you like to share. I have one otherwise, and then we can open the floor for questions. It's been a sort of very interesting discussion. So any stories from you guys of beautiful customer experience from other brands that are not yours that you've had?
As in, I recently tried, there's this ice cream brand Noto, which, a lot of us know the founder of it. Great experience, they have this innovation, they have this one SKU of mini bites, right? So you order it, it's not, you don't feel like you're having a big dessert. It becomes a conversation starter with anyone who's over. So just a very delightful experience, which, gets you to, go back to them again and again and refer it, and there are other people. So I think, just as a small, delightful experience in the recent past, that stands out.
I think I have one experience. Customer care is very contextual. Yeah, like a customer care you provide for a food delivery versus a plane ticket. It's very, very different, right? So I think one of the dark horses of our ecosystem is Ease My Trip. Right? So how Ease My Trip...
The most profitable listed consumer tech company in India
Absolutely. Now. And I'll tell you one reason or one episode that happened was, how Ease My Trip works is like a marketplace, right? So you book a ticket, they book it with the airlines, and then they send it to you in like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So what happened was I booked a ticket, my payment went through, but the confirmation never came through, like probably it was an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, maybe 5 hours. So I got a call from them saying, sir, sorry, the flight's sold out. Here's what I'm going to do is, I'm going to actually give you an earlier flight, and I'm going to give you like a 15% discount on the flight because it's our fault. And I think that was amazing. I think, because the ticket size was larger, on a food delivery, you'll be like, okay, it's $500. For an urban consumer, it's $500. But, when you're booking an airline, when the ticket's about like 20,000, 25,000, the sense of accountability changes. And I think as companies, we need to understand that the sense of accountability changes at every ticket size. Right? For example, someone who serves, while customer care should be equal at every level, but also it matters when the money changes. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think, again, you're talking about understanding the customer's context and knowing what will move the needle for them. I have a beautiful experience that I wanted to share that I had with Lenskart that talks about various or sort of covers various aspects of the conversation we've had. And then, as I promised, we'll open up to questions. We have about 7 minutes left. So I started buying my wife's lenses for her on Lenskart because I saw that there was some possibility of saving, right? And something you buy on a monthly basis. And then she wanted to buy some glasses. So she went on the Lenskart app and she used the virtual try-on of Lenskart where you can actually go on the app, put your face there, and then see how the glasses look on your face. And for whatever reason, she couldn't make a choice, right? This was at maybe 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night. She saw 3-4 pairs of glasses, and then it didn't give her the experience that she could understand how they fit. So Lenskart waited till the AM. She didn't complete her purchase, and she sort of closed the app or killed the app or whatever, right? The next morning, she got a call from Lenskart saying, hey, we saw you tried on these 4 pairs of glasses, and I guess you couldn't understand from the virtual try-on experience how it would look on you. So here's what we're going to do. Why don't you choose another 6 pairs of glasses, and we'll send all those 10 pairs and more to your home for a physical try-on, and then you can tell us whether you want to buy something. Instead of buying, so we had a guy who came to our house with a big bag of 150 different pairs of glasses, and instead of buying 1 pair of glasses, she bought 3, right? So they understood the problem. They understood the ability to close that high intent transaction, which is the equivalent of an abandoned cart, and actually were able to 3x the AOV, right? So I think customer experience, as we go along and as our ecosystem matures, will become more and more scientific. You'll see many more Apple-type experiences in the Indian ecosystem. You can be more demanding as customers, but as you think of yourself as a brand founder as well, think about all of these various aspects that the panelists have discussed and see what you can implement in your business to really give that customer the one-up, because as competition increases, we all need to find ways to cut through the clutter and mean something to these customers. We're happy to open it up to a few questions. I hope there's a mic that's going around. If anyone has questions, feel free to raise your hands and we can take those in the last 5 minutes that we have. Absolutely, please go ahead.
Just using your last example, and Lenskart is a great product, it's a great company, they do a really good job. But at some point, doesn't that become intrusive? I killed the app, I didn't want to complete my shopping, you're stalking me. I didn't want to buy from you, yet you've been intrusive enough to call me the next morning.
Yeah, so look, I get where you're coming from, right? But the reality is that if we have a conversation today, like there is a very high chance that most of you guys are going to see Lenskart ads tomorrow because we've talked about Lenskart here. I don't know if you guys have tried it, but we try this a lot where we talk about a brand at dinner and then the next day we get the ad, or we get shared someone's contact on WhatsApp and we get their friend suggestion on Facebook, right? So I think the reality is that like when you are transacting on a platform, you are basically allowing yourself, you're sort of allowing the platform to be able to see what you're doing on the platform. You can take it both ways. I took it as positive, but I could understand that you took it as talking. But once I abandon a cart, that data lies with the platform. Yes, I will say one very interesting thing on intrusion, right? So we talked about, and Jasmeet talked about as well, calls, right? And engaging with the tier 2, tier 3 customers. So I used to run a brand where I thought that calls are very intrusive. And so we used to send emails to our customers because we thought that, that's a sort of low touch way of engaging with our customers. We realized no one opened the emails because actually 70-80% of the customers didn't even have emails, so they gave wrong emails to the required field. So our calls had 6 times the ROI that the email had. So I think you're right, for you it was intrusion. But on an aggregate basis for the customer, we'll have to see whether it's intrusion or it works. But fair point on intrusion for sure.
But sir, to also answer your question, the beauty is in the terms and conditions, the privacy policy.
We all have our GDPR privacy policies. No one reads those bloody things ever.
So we're happy to take a couple more questions. I see a hand over there at the back. Yeah, if you can just get him a mic.
I'm only doing this so I can get my 10,000 steps in.
Hi. Again, going to the last example that you give, building experiences is an expensive thing, right? Going by the same example, employing people who will go to those people's homes and then show them that it's an expensive thing. A company which is flush with funds can do that. A lot of companies can't do it. That's one point. The other point being, because it is expensive, how do you justify the ROI? Is it really worth it? Somebody may buy it, it's fantastic that your wife got 3 pairs, but not everyone will behave like that. So how justifiable is it to invest that much in creating experiences which are very expensive to create?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic question. I'll open up to the panelists. Maybe Abhinav can take it. I'll just give you a quick answer to that question from my perspective, right? You use the term ROI at the end. The brand will not do it if there's no ROI on an aggregate basis. So it's great to run a pilot. You give it to 100 customers. If you're losing money on it, then it doesn't work. It's not worth giving. But if you are actually getting that 3x ROI on an aggregate basis of 30-40% of the customers, then it would make sense. But yeah, it has to be a sort of economic calculation. It's nice to talk about experiences and positivity, but it has to translate into an experience. But Abhinav, go ahead.
No, there must be some data around it because, what Arjun mentioned was the person was carrying about 150 boxes. So they might be on a beat. They might be visiting multiple houses in a certain area. There was permission taken before coming. So they would know exactly how many places they are going to. So it's almost like going on a sales beat, which a typical FMCG company also does. And there must be some sort of a percentage attached to it on conversions. So there definitely would be some logic which justifies the ROI. It would not be done otherwise.
But I will say one more thing, right? Experiences don't necessarily have to be expensive. So I'll give you one example of what we did in Diwali 2020 at Dr. Vaidya's, which is now solved with AI. At that time, there was no AI. Instead of giving a Diwali gift to our top 500 customers and vendors, we decided to make a personalized video. So we made a 1.5-minute video wishing them health in various languages, etc., all of that. But for those, each of those 500 people, I said, hi Abhinav and hi Jasmeet separately 500 times. And so each of these people got a personalized video from the founder wishing them for Diwali. The activity cost 30,000 rupees divided by 500 customers, cheaper than any gift I could have given. But the experience was so delightful, they always remember it. So experience doesn't have to be money, right? I think that's all we have in terms of time, and we got the sort of buzzer. But I think I wanted to thank each of you for being on the panel, openly sharing all of those insights. I hope that the questions were up to the mark and that you enjoyed the panel. And I hope that all of you guys got some nuggets and insights into this really important part of D2C as our ecosystem evolves, which is customer experience. Thank you so much for listening to us. And I'm sure the panelists will be available outside if you have some questions for them.